just understand that when Bob is explaining that his family is actually his greatest adventure, that's his epiphany. It is not this hero's monologue thing that I'm talking about this season. In this movie, in The Incredibles, Bob's hero's monologue comes at the beginning of the film, and it comes in little snippets. It's not one big scene, it's little things here and there. All right, let me explain what I'm talking about. First, I'll talk about the more superficial reason that Bob is doing what he's doing, and that is to relive his glory days. In fact, Helen accuses him of exactly that. That's the phrase she uses, to relive your glory days, when they're having an argument. And we see Bob and Lucius, right? We see them listening to a police scanner. They are reminiscing about the good old days. And then they hear a report of a robbery. Bob wants to go after them, after the robbers. Lucius does not. Lucius wants to follow the rules, and he says, just once I'd like to do what we tell our wives we're doing. I want to go bowling. But Bob gets really excited, and Lucius ends up caving to the peer pressure. Now, this scene is really interesting because just when we expect to hear Bob giving his hero's monologue, the scene cuts away to Mirage sitting in another car, observing them. And in fact, she's observing Frozone. She doesn't recognize that Bob is Mr. Incredible because when she's on the phone, she says, he's just sitting in the car and the fat guy is with him. Right? So the fat guy is actually Mr. Incredible. So she's actually has spotted Lucius as Mr. Frozone. She hasn't at this point realized it's Mr. Incredible, but she figures it out pretty quickly. All right. So that's one example. A few minutes later, when Bob is listening to the mission, right, on the what I call an iPad. I don't know if it's supposed to be an iPad, but Mr. Incredible gets his mission from Mirage, and he's watching the video. This is, by the way, this is his call to adventure. Mirage actually reinforces the superficial why, and she actually says, quote, you can still do great things, or you can listen to police scanners. And this idea of him reliving his glory days is reinforced yet a third time when we see Bob, right after this video message, looking at a wall of framed news articles and magazine covers, all highlighting his successes from the past when he was recognized as Mr. Incredible and allowed to be the superhero that he is. So, yes, it seems from all this that Bob's true why is that he wants to relive his glory days. And I think it's important to have that in a children's film and to really hammer it home over and over again, because the kids need to understand why he's doing what he's doing. Okay. They need the repetition. However, and reliving the glory days is fine as a why as far as it goes. Absolutely.